Hi guys, a very early game that I covered on the channel, Ronin. Love it, still like playing it today. What's this? An expansion! Now, before we begin, I'd just like to take a moment to apologise for my absence. I've been away from the channel for, I think at least a couple of months. What turned out as a suspected kidney stone actually turned out to be torn ligaments in my back and my side, which prevented me from pretty much doing anything for any amount of time, like sitting at a desk, playing games or anything like that. However, as old as I am, it takes a long time to heal, but we are back at last. I'm back at the table, I'm back to playing games, and we're back with Ronin from Cosinha Verde and Tiago Junges. This was featured on the channel back in, I think, May 2022. I did a couple of videos on this game. It was one of my sort of gateway games into solo RPGs. So it will forever be in my memory and my heart because of that. And recently, in fact, the last few days, there has been an expansion released by Tiago. Now, I think that this has been available in his native tongue, Portuguese, for a little while. But, like I say, a few days ago, this was released in English. A new way of playing the game. There are a lot of shared elements between the sort of base game or the original game and the expansion. We'll go through the differences and the new things in just a second. But let me just make one thing clear. It's very cool to be a samurai, but to be a ninja is even cooler. And I do really like the expansion and what it brings to us for the table. So let us move these things aside for the moment, and we will begin by looking at what is new. Now, this is not a standalone game. You will need to have the Ronin game before you can use this. This is just an expansion. You will also need to use the character sheet, which again you get with the original game. Now, I have had a fairly long relationship with Shinobis and ninjas. Back when I was young, one of the things that really got me into martial arts when I was young were, obviously the Bruce Lee movies and Jackie Chan movies, but also the ninja movies. Ninja movies were big in the UK in the sort of early 80s. You had Enter the Ninja, I think it was 1980-ish, Sho Kusugi. So, I don't know if I'm saying that right. Sho Kusugi. You had the Octagon with Chuck Norris. That was around the same time. You had, then you had the bad ones, which we still kind of watched again and again, like American Ninja, for example, with Michael Dudikoff. Pray for Death. So I've been into sort of the ninja scene and martial arts scene for a very long time. And like I say, being a samurai is cool, but being a ninja, even better. Not even pirates come close. Now, with this expansion, you will be using pretty much the same mechanics of the base game in terms of the use of dice, in terms of the interactions. But there are a lot of differences to make this feel like you're approaching the game a different way. So it's well worth grabbing hold of this. Now, it is available, I think, on drive-thru and also on itch. I'll put the link down below to drive-thru because that's where my affiliate membership is, and I might get a little bit of money from that. But it is pay what you want. You can get for free, but I would highly recommend, since this is an indie developer, an indie designer, if you've got a spare $1, spare $2, send a little bit of love to Tiago when you actually download the item. It does give the option to pay some money towards it. And like I say, it's well worth it. Now, it is only, I think, 12 pages, but there is a lot inside those 12 pages. Now, if you're familiar with Tiago's work with Ronin, but also with, where is it? Where's the other one? No Quest, of course. You do get a lot inside these little products, inside these small products. There is a lot of content inside these, despite the number of pages. So, Shinobi is an expansion. There are some changes in terms of how you are going to play this game. Now, this is the first version of the English product. And you may notice that I've made a lot of notes and pencil scribblings in here. I have been in touch with Tiago, pointing out some questions. Also, in the first version of the rulebook, there was also some Portuguese left inside in certain places. So, again, that's why in the one I've printed out, this is the first edition. So I think here also there's some Portuguese that I've translated. Google Translate is a godsend sometimes. But there are also, if you downloaded the first version and you printed it out or you're using the first version, highly recommend you go back to itch or back to drive-through and download the latest version. Tiago has made a whole bunch of changes. If I remember correctly, I think there was, again, I think the latest version is version 3, but I think there was still a couple of Portuguese words there. But it's he's basically the feedback I gave in terms of certain things that contradicted. Those have all been changed in the latest version. So go back to where you purchased it and re-download, and you should have the latest one. All nice and done. Right, let's have a look. Shinobi is a supplement for the game Ronin. In this book, you'll find rules for playing a ninja from the beginning of their career to their possibly tragic end. To play this game, you'll need to be familiar with Ronin, as it follows the same rules, only with a few changes. And it really does make the game feel different, but the same at the same time. I'll show you what I mean. So, some changes to the basic rules. Okay, first of all, the game flow. So, in Ronin, let me grab the Ronin book here. The way that this game is designed was that you were an ex-samurai or a Ronin warrior, and you were creating a saga, a story of why you became a Ronin and what is your goal in life, what is your objective to maybe set things right or to right wrongs kind of thing, your saga of your journey. And when you're playing the game, it is a simple two-step process that you'll be repeating again and again. You will have a route step and a location step. So you will roll to see what happens on this sort of step of the journey. As you're journeying from one location to another, you'll see what happens. And then when you arrive at a location, you'll roll again to see what happens. Rinse and repeat. Route, location, route, location. So it's a sequence of these two things. And in the route and the location, you have a chance of having encounters. You have a chance of, pursuing the journey or your saga, sort of meeting up with villains, coming across clans, finding elements to enhance or maybe to lead you more towards the ending of your story. There's also things here where you can rest and recover and heal and things like that. Now, in Shinobi, it's a little bit different. You're not doing the whole saga of traveling to a location, traveling to another location. No. In Shinobi, it's done in terms of missions. You are trying to complete missions on part of your ninja clan. Every mission will consist of 5 phases: introduction, entry, execution, exit, and then conclusion. And what you'll be doing is you'll be rolling up for each of these phases to see what happens, and then you can create your story around what the game is going to tell you and then how you go to try and accomplish it. We'll look at that in a second. Villains. There are no villains in this variation of the game in Shinobi. Instead, you will have an enemy called the Nemesis. And in Ronin, you basically come across 3 different villains, sort of 2 minor villains, and then the third villain is like the big boss, the major villain, the story ender. Well, in Shinobi, you come across a Nemesis who will keep coming back. And every time that you meet them, they become stronger or different in some way. So they also evolve as the story goes on, as you go from mission to mission. Every mission, there is a chance that you will encounter the nemesis in some form. New interactions. Okay, so interactions is the main sort of mechanics of the game. See if I can find it here. So in Ronin, there were 4 basic interactions. You could talk with someone you meet or an encounter. You can try to charm them if they are a possible ally, get them to try and join you. Or if it's an enemy and you learn what their dark secret is, you can try to charm them as well. Intimidate and fight. So these are kind of like the main mechanics of the game, the way that you interact with what you find. Now in Shinobi, it adds another couple of these interactions, sneak and escape. Very fitting to the ninja element of the story. The next change is for the intimidation. Interaction. Basically, in the old rules, in the Ronin rules, if you succeeded with the intimidate, basically the opponent leaves, but you don't gain anything else from succeeding in that role. In the new rules, in this supplement, it says here, whenever you intimidate an enemy, you also increase your reputation by 1. So it does have an effect on your stats. In this game, you're still going to have the 3 basic stats. Reputation, compassion, and determination, exactly the same. But in this game, the reputation really does hinder you a lot. You don't want to be known about. You don't want to get famous as a ninja. Also, character creation is a little bit different as well. You will be using some elements from the Ronin book when you're creating your character, but not all of it. There are a few little changes, a few little details that are different, but again, it details it all very well here. You play the cycle countless times until something drastic happens in the story, and you give up the ninja life, become a master, your clan is wiped out, or even die. Any of these could be your end. In actual fact, I've played this 5 or 6 times, and in about half the cases, the game has basically made me change or made me leave the clan and become a Ronin. So what would happen then is that you would take your character and then you would actually continue your character's story using the Ronin rules. That's also an option. Right, so the interaction. So sneak and escape is very much thematic in terms of the ninja that you're going to be playing. Sneak is used to pass without being noticed. Now, this is not as easy as it sounds. The table has been expanded to include those other 2 interactions here. So you can attempt to sneak past animals and enemies. Again, the latest version of the book has all of these corrected in English. So with all these interactions, essentially you're going to be rolling 2 dice. This reflects you, this reflects the opponent or the enemy. You will add modifiers sometimes to your dice, you will have modifiers sometimes to the enemy's dice. You'll roll these and essentially you have to roll higher to succeed in what you're trying to do. Sneaking is going to be extremely useful when you're trying to infiltrate buildings and castles to succeed in your mission. Now the missions themselves, you're going to have 2 basic types. They will either be to steal an item or to assassinate some character. It could be the daimyo, general, samurai, monk, elderly man. Assassinate a child. I don't know why the hell you'd want to do that, but it's in the game. But yeah, sometimes your ninja is not going to be kitted out for combat as much as the Ronin is. So a lot of the time, sneaking is good. Escape is a way to avoid combat if you think you're going to lose or you're going to have difficulties. Again, I have used escape a number of times as I've been playing this, and it's saved my character's life a number of times. So to sneak, you must roll both the dice. So you've got to, okay, so again, in the first version of the rules it had here, resolve, that has been confirmed, it should be determination. So you add your determination value to the light die, and you add your reputation to the dark die. So again, being known is not a good thing as a ninja, and it's going to work against you. Escaping, you don't have to roll, but you have to deduct. Again, this has been confirmed as being determination. Now, in the original game of Ronin, you didn't start off with a lot of points in your stats. In fact, in Ronin, you would start with 0 reputation, 2 compassion, and 2 determination. Well, in this game, it works slightly differently. You are going to start with 0 reputation, which is good. And you also get 5 compassion and 5 determination, because what you're going to find is that with this expansion and playing as a ninja in the new missions, you're going to be spending these points and losing these points in a different way. This is one of the ways where the game feels different, okay? What else is there? So creating your shinobi is a little bit different. You don't get to roll for random techniques. You don't get to roll for scars and sort of, is it recurring nightmares? Instead, you're going to possibly gain those later on as you succeed in missions, as you fail missions. These are things that can possibly get captured. These are things that can actually be added to your character later. So again, another difference in how you play. But you will be having to roll up your family. But this is a different table to the one in Ronin. This is for a ninja family. You've also got to roll your age. Another thing in this game is that certain activities, certain results will have you age your character. If you want to learn a new technique, for example, that takes time, so you'll be adding that to your age. Right, the missions. Now, as we mentioned just now, the missions, there are 5 phases. Now, during the first phase, the introduction, there is a chance that you could get these possible allies. Now, if you get allies this way through these sort of teammates, they're all going to be, what does it say here? They're all going to be fighters with the ninjato technique. You may have other ways of gaining allies, in which case you'd probably follow the standard methods in Ronin. So you're basically going to wake up and possibly have determination points, gain determination points. You can recuperate. You're also given your objective. You'll roll randomly to see what the objective is. Now again, this is. I think this is still in Portuguese on version 3. But I think Tiago will probably correct this. But the note at the bottom here basically is on every roll carrying this item. So you'll notice that up here, if you're trying to steal certain items, the daimyo's weapon, fragile vase, body, child, these have little asterisks next to them. Basically what it means is, if you have 1 asterisk next to that mission, when you gain that item, you're going to get a -1 to every roll. If you have the double asterisks, you're going to get a -2 to every roll. This has screwed up my missions a number of times. You've also got assassinate. Now, for the assassinations and for a lot of the encounters, you'll find that there is a common enemy list on page 9, which tells you the basic stats. So the introduction sets everything up. You can refuse the mission if you think you don't stand a chance, but you will have to take a punishment. Punishments are things that can come from failing missions or basically deciding to quit a mission. They could be severe, they could be light. These are all things that are going to add to your story, possibly influence the effects on your character. So for example, like here, you're tortured for 2 years and receive a scar. So that could add to the narrative nature of the game. Your master orders seppuku. Yeah. There's a little bit here about seppuku. You can still try to confront your fellow members and escape. By doing so, you become an enemy of the clan. You will fight D6 ninjas. If you win, you escape and become a Ronin. So there's a lot of ways in which this game can take you on your journey and create your story. Just like with Ronin, I like this about the game in that it's not rigid in terms of the path you're going to follow. There's a lot of variety in this game. And again, in only 12 pages, plus the Ronin. Phase 2, entry. So once you've got your mission, the first thing you need to do is to try and enter the location that has either the object you're to steal or the person that you need to kill. So you'll roll randomly to find out what happens. You'll also normally have to roll for random guards, dogs, security, things like that. Now, one thing that I did find when I was playing this is that sometimes it will tell you, I think it was the bedroom. It says here, there are 3 entrances. Each entrance is guarded by D6 samurai plus D6 minus 3 dogs. What I found is that I find it a lot more enjoyable to roll the number of samurai and dogs for each entrance, rather than rolling once and have the same quantity for each entrance. Because I used to play a lot of like Tenchu back in the day. You remember the old video game Tenchu? I used to love that game. And it wasn't a case where every entrance had the same number of opponents there. It was always random, yeah? So I think that would be something that I mean, it has been something that I've been doing. I've been rolling up sort of random sort of guards and creatures at each entrance. So yeah, you roll it up. Now, what I found is that the palace, the master bedroom, terrible. Number 1's, of course, much easier. Now, once you gain entry, you then got to execute the mission in terms of either assassinate your target or steal the item in question. However, it's not going to be straightforward. You got to roll to find out what's going to be the challenge. You then have to try and make your exit. Now, the exit is very similar to the entrance in terms of bypassing or dealing with what you left behind. So if you manage to sneak past the guards, they're still going to be there when you try to exit. I suppose you could, if there were multiple exits, try to go through another exit, maybe. But another thing is that your reputation, as you increase your reputation, which is one of your statistics, you may find that there will be more guards when you try to leave. Your reputation really works against you in terms of making things a lot harder. Like I say, I've played this, I think I've played through 4 or 5 characters of this. I haven't had a character last more than 1 mission. Well, you know my dice, right? My character has either died or been captured or whatever in the first mission or the second mission. So I haven't had a lot of luck at this, but I've loved it. So the exit, okay, so once you've managed to exit the building with either the assassination complete or with the item or person in your possession, you then go to the conclusion where you have to report the outcome. So if you complete the mission, you receive training. So you've got a number of options that you can do. Each technique takes D6 years to learn. So you can add a new technique to your training, to your skills, but you'll have to age a certain amount as well. If you fail the mission, you receive severe punishments. You've got to roll on here. After that, if you've gained any reputation points, you are required to receive the light punishment. So during the mission, if you do increase your reputation from when you started, you also have to get some light punishment because you're drawing attention to your clan. If your character is over 30 years old, every light punishment must be followed by severe punishment. So you should know better if you're an elder. And then you do the same thing again and again. You would again roll up a new mission, try and infiltrate the building. Now, there is a lot of variety, I think is a better word, in terms of the objectives, in terms of the place that you're trying to enter, what happens when you get there. So there is a lot of variety there to keep you occupied for a very long time. Right, on page 9, there are some other general rules that are focused on the Shinobi expansion. There is a different situation in terms of defeat in combat. In Ronin, there were special rules. If I can find them. There were special rules if you surrender or if you die in terms of what happens to you afterwards. The game doesn't try to kill you, but it makes death and capture very, not attractive options. So if you get defeated in combat, you've got to roll to see what happens to you. You could be murdered. Yeah, in which case, roll another character or maybe use one of your allies as the next character. But it's very thematic. At any time, you can abandon your training and become a Ronin. If you do, you immediately become an enemy of the clan and your master becomes your final villain. Again, thematic. and you just go to continue your story with Ronin. Sepukku we've already looked at. Okay, zero compassion. So this is something that might be useful in Ronin as well, possibly. If you have zero compassion and need to reduce it by 1 point, you roll on the table below instead. So you don't go negative. I think with Ronin, if you're at zero compassion and you had to make it a minus, I don't think there was anything that happened. I think it was just between 0 and 6 with a limits. But with this expansion, it brings in an option in terms of what happens if your compassion becomes a negative, because it's going to affect you mentally, I think. So again, you could roll on here instead. Now on one of the points, and again, I think this has been updated in the latest version of the rules. It says here, you felt a certain pleasure from, whatever you did that made your compassion become negative, or would have become negative. At one determination, if this happens twice in a row, you become a villain in your next game. Well, actually, if you're playing Ronin, you'll become a villain. If you're playing Shinobi, you'll become a nemesis. So I think this could be used in Ronin as well. Common enemies are there. Right, so for the nemesis, as I mentioned earlier, it's a little bit different to the way we used villains in Ronin. You will only have one nemesis, but he keeps coming back. He or she keeps coming back. And every time that you defeat the nemesis, when you've come across them again, you've got to roll to see how they've changed. They could improve their fight, their block. They could have developed a magical aura that causes you to lose 1 block at the start of combat. There's also, if you want, and again it's a good connection because this is a narrative game, to develop a connection with your nemesis to begin with. He's your twin brother. But yeah, there's also at the back here some extra material just to help you make the game a little bit, what's the word? A bit more efficient in your play. So like at the back here, you've got some tables for easy characters, so you can just quickly roll up NPCs or people that you encounter. You can still use the basic tables in Ronin. So at the front of the Ronin book, you've got your name, appearance, techniques, family. You've got these that, again, we could use when we found NPCs or whatever. But in the supplement here in Shinobi, it does actually just give you a simple table where you can roll, and it's just got all the details in one result. Yeah, just makes it a little bit easier. Now, again, this is the first version of the rules. There were some Portuguese words still in here. Has been changed. I think it has been changed. I have told Tiago. And then here, this is also a way to maybe do the names a bit more correctly if you want to have like the surnames. But in Japan, the surname comes first, and a lot of the time it's based on a locality. So again, he's provided the material here where you can roll up the missing part of a person's name. Useful in all games, not just with this game. But yeah, this is the Shinobi expansion for Ronin. And as I mentioned just now, it is pay what you want, but I highly recommend throwing a few dollars to Tiago as you purchase it. As thanks for writing the game, as a sign of appreciation for providing us with these amazing games. I think this will do for an overview of the supplement. I've been talking way too much. I've got to get back into the swing of things. I've been away for a long time because of me back. I've got to get back into the swing of things. I've got to get back to editing and learn how to not talk so much. Now, if you do go back to my original videos on Ronin, I do apologize. The camera work, the audio and everything wasn't so good. I was still learning the whole process and stuff, the whole video production thing. So I do apologize in advance for the quality of the Ronin videos, but I don't know, it's still fun to watch. But yeah, join me in the next video. We'll create a character for Shinobi and we will venture out and try some missions. So guys, thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Ring the bell, put some comments. If you've played Ronin, how did you find it? Did you watch my videos before? If not, go back and watch them. But it is an amazing game, and this just adds even more awesomeness to this. So guys, thank you very much. Till the next video, take care, stay safe. Cheers.